mean, they could be under a mountain of sand at this point if it keeps on happening.
Sure, yeah.
But why wouldn't more just blow,
Right.
Anyway.
Maybe they fell a hole and they're in the center of the earth now.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I bet.
With Godzilla.
Yeah.
King Kong.
I bet. Got it on the news.
Is that one of them?
No. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Mysterious Pals with me. My name's Chris.
Yep.
With Jordan.
That's right.
He's here too.
You're doing good. You're doing good.
Welcome to the show, Jordan.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you, everybody out there, for tuning in.
All three of you.
We always forget to say that our intro and outro music is by a band called Bethlehem.
Mm-hmm.
We should probably say that a lot more, maybe in our closing. But if you don't make it that far, at least I'm telling you now.
There you go.
Yeah. So
well done.
We're back again.
Yeah.
Back in the saddle, as they say. Are you happy to be here?
Yeah.
Great. What'd you do this week? Anything fun?
No.
No? Any swimming? You got a pool?
No.
Yeah.
I always feel like my summer was a bust if I didn't go swimming at least once.
Have you swam yet this summer?
No. Not happy.
I went swimming today, actually.
Yeah.
At a public pool.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I did. It was it was great. It was fine.
Were you with your kids?
Yeah, I mean, they had fun. It's just swimming is, so sometimes boring.
Yeah, I just like being in the water for like 10 minutes and I'm like, I'm good.
Yeah, then you're cold and the water's cold and you get out and you're kind of cold if it's windy. Yeah, I mean, it's been hot, in our part of the world. So it's understandable.
You're doing good.
That we will go to a pool.
Mm-hmm.
And it was fine. Pools are cool. Give people something to do, I guess. For me, not my idea of fun, but my kids had fun. So I guess it's fine.
Sorry. I feel like going to a pool with kids would be kind of stressful. You like kind of keep an eye on them.
Yeah, I mean,
there you go.
There's lifeguards and stuff, which is good. Right. So, and there was a diving board and that was pretty fun, but pools are fine. Swimming's generally just boring after 15 minutes.
Yeah,
like we said. What else you been doing? Just working.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of boring around here.
Yeah. Nothing bad. Nothing wrong with that. Sometimes you need that.
A little downtime.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, speaking of downtime.
Yeah. Where's the bus going today? The Magic School Bus. Where are we going?
Oh, yeah. Last week we talked about the Magic School Bus. When we talked about your episode and the Iron Mask. Or no. Lead masks.
Yeah.
Lead mask guys in Brazil. That was pretty fun. Take a look at that. Take a listen. Don't stop this one. After this one, go listen to that. Or stop this one and come back. Anyway.
Just listen.
Come along with us. We're going to be going back a ways this week.
Okay.
This is an episode that I've been wanting to do for a while. It's an ancient history mystery.
Interesting.
Which is something that is fun. But it's also kind of like ancient history is kind of it's tough to like figure out the answers. It's tough to even think of the answers. It's like so long ago.
Yeah.
So much stuff has passed.
Right.
So much time has passed. I'm sorry. So many things have happened. This story probably was twisted 30, 40,000 times in different ways. Plus, was it even written down correctly? We don't even know.
Right. Happens a lot.
Yeah. And a lot of these stories are probably more folklore. Yeah. They're portrayed as real happenings.
Sometimes some bias and a lot of that ancient stuff too.
And as it's written down and twisted each way, you get a lot of bias. And as someone who's not a historian, it's cool to look into this type of stuff and then realize, hey, it really sucked to live back in ancient times.
Yeah.
But also, people have been around a long time.
Yeah,
Like what's Roman Empire? When year was that?
When was that?
Yeah.
Like BCE to CE? Like
yeah, I mean that was a while. And then the kingdoms of Egypt, we've talked about those before. Mm-hmm. They were even further back than that, correct? So like
that led into the Roman Empire.
Yeah. It's like it's Greek, ancient Greeks.
Yeah.
I mean people have been around for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Are you just not realizing this?
I'm like, time is crazy. People have been around. It's like, you always think like dinosaurs, humans, like right next to each other. Like dinosaurs died, humans came around.
Right.
But dinosaurs died a long time ago.
Sure did.
Oh, okay. My little brain can't handle that. But in any case, speaking of my little brain, we're going to talk about...
Your Dr. Brain.
Yeah. My not so useful Dr. Brain.
Yes.
Dr. Brain would be a bad name for a villain in the... That's probably,
I'm sure there's someone has
comic book
Dr.
villain
Brain.
from the 50s.
Yeah, sure.
Superman probably beat up Dr. Villain or...
Dr. Villain.
Dr. Brain Villain. You know him?
You heard of him?
You heard of him? Dr. Brain Villain?
Brain
we should
Villain?
make a comic book called Dr. Brain Villain. Anyway, we're going to talk about an event that happened in BCE, specifically around 500s, in the 500s BCE. Okay, so we're going back a little ways. And we're going to talk about an army, 50,000 men.
Okay, that's big.
That vanish.
The vanish is gone.
Gone.
All right, I'm hooked.
Not only vanished, not only were these warriors an army that vanished, they were at the time, in the time period we're talking, which is about, we'll say 530 BCE is when around this time, it was they were one of the most powerful kingdoms in the world at the time. From the most powerful kingdom in the world.
Okay.
At the time. And I'm talking about the lost army of Cambyses II. Cambyses II was the son of Cyrus the Great. Cyrus the Great was the king of the Achaemenid Empire. And the Achaemenid Empire was basically the Persian Empire.
Okay.
And they defeated Babylon, which was Iraq.
Babylon?
Yeah.
Iraq.
Okay. And then
Babylon was like part of the Mesopotamia.
Okay. So Mesopotamia. Achaemenid Empire was, at the time, again, as one of the biggest empires in the world.
Huge, yeah.
Yeah. It included Egypt, or it included Africa, Asia.
It
included parts of Africa, parts of Asia, and parts of Europe.
Okay. Yep.
So Cambyses was the second ruler, his father being Cyrus the Great.
We've talked about one of actually, I think the last ruler of this empire before Darius III. We talked about Alexander the Great.
Was he the Darius the Great? Or was he that the first one?
That was the first one.
Okay.
I think so, yeah.
I think that comes up.
Okay.
I think. And when we talk about the Achaemenid Empire, he comes up. Again, going back to Cambyses and his lost army, Cambyses II. This is kind of, because it's an ancient history type of thing we talked about at the beginning, it is kind of messy. There's a lot of different stuff going on, and it's repeated 100 times over.
But also, like a lot of stuff, it's not written until like 100 years later.
Yeah.
Like I think Herodotus had a big part in this, and he was born I think 100 years after. What years? Like the three.
So 530 BCE. That's whenever. So Cambyses the second ruled from 522 BCE to 530 BCE.
Yeah. And
one of the things Cambyses did.
520 to 530?
522 to 530 was whenever Cambyses II ruled.
Wouldn't it be the way around? You're going BC because you're going back.
530 to 522. So in that time period, yes. BCE, I know. Crazy out there. Anyway, Cambyses
actually, I think
did a couple good things with. He was kind of considered like not a great ruler, but one of the good things he did was, as part of his empire, is he did take over Egypt.
Okay.
He defeated a pharaoh at the time was Pastamtic III, and he incorporated Egypt into the Persian Empire, which was something his father didn't do, and he kind of did that. So that was one of the good things that, even though he was considered not a great ruler.
Yeah, I don't know much about this.
Yeah. So I think first we're going to go into what the Achaemenid Empire was. We do know there's an army eventually that's going to get lost, 50,000 men in the desert, or something happens to them in the desert whenever they're on conquest.
Okay.
And this is very specific to Egypt is really important to this, and we'll go into why in a second. But the Achaemenid Empire was known as the first Persian Empire, one of, at the time, the largest and most influential empires in ancient history, spanning 3 continents, as I said, Asia, Africa, and Europe. It incorporated, at its height, 5.5 million square kilometers.
Ooh.
don't know what miles convert. I didn't do the conversion because I forgot.
So you said 5.5 million?
Million square kilometers.
Right. They're like 2 or 3, 2.5, 3
million
miles.
2.5, 3
million miles.
Okay.
I think.
So Cyrus the Great in the 6th century BCE, he came from the Achaemenid Empire, Achaemenid clan. He was really well regarded as like a really good leader, powerful leader, really great at military, like military achievements, had a lot of military achievements, cultural achievements. He was like kind of known as a great leader. They called him the Great. He was known as Cyrus II, which then you got the name Cyrus the Great because he did so many great things. I guess that's how it works. But around 550 BCE, the Achaemenid clan successfully rebelled against the Median Empire, which was considered the overlords of this area, and established his rule over Persia. His conquest extended to Asia Minor, Babylon, and Mesopotamia, and beyond, forming the largest empire in the world had seen at that point. He also had a really good policies on tolerance and respect towards others, and customs and religions, and let the lands that he conquered stabilize. Like he stabilized them by letting them continue doing what they're doing,
which is smart.
Yeah, and I think who was another empire that did that? There was another empire that did that, or Justinian, Constantinople. Didn't they do something with that? They allowed everybody to just kind of do their own thing.
Justinian, yes. I know Alexander the Great kind of did the same thing.
Maybe that's where I remembered that from.
Yeah, sorry. When I was on my phone, I was looking up, did the conversion. It's like 3.4 million miles.
Okay. Still huge. Yeah. American.
I don't know. Miles. I do miles.
It's such a weird system. If someone has to teach like measurements and how to build things, like I'm like, God. When we do like stuff in CAD and like technical drawings and stuff, it's all a lot of times in metric. But whenever you do stuff with like construction and building, it's all in imperial. Insane. It's so much easier whenever you're using metric. Yeah. But I understand why we haven't changed. Makes sense. It'd be too much money. Too late now. It'd be too much money. Yeah. So as I said, Cambyses is our main focus. Cambyses II. His son, is Darius or
Darius. I think.
Darius the Great ascended the throne in 522 BCE. The Darius, what you said, the third.
The third is the one that Alexander.
Yeah, so his grandfather would have been, he took over, Cambyses the second took over from that. Good. All right, so that's the Achaemenid Empire. We're going to move back to our mystery. That I think the one thing that stands out about this mystery is the historian that kind of brought it forward was Herodotus. So he is another figure that I should mention is a Greek historian, geographer.
Father of history. That's
what they say in this little write-up here about him, father of history. Some have described him as the father of history.
Yeah, he wrote called the Greco-Persian War.
Yes, he is known for writing the histories, a detailed account of the Greco-Persian Wars. Herodotus was the first writer to perform systematic investigations of historical events. And I believe he was Halicarnassus. Yeah, which was part of the Persian Empire. Yeah. Yeah. So I wonder if that has anything to do with telling the story. Like, could you trust him? I don't know.
Yeah. There always be some bias.
I wonder. Always wondering this guy right here. Anyway, Cambyses, back to that guy. As I said, in 525 BCE, he defeated, he had a successful invasion of Egypt, and he defeated the pharaoh at the time. And part of that, there was part of that war, part of his plan was to take over the larger region, and that included the Siwa Oasis, which is in Libya. And Alexander the Great had something to do with that. It had something going on there.
He had to cross the desert to get there, just so he can meet the Oracle.
That's right. So in 525, Cambyses II defeated Pharaoh in Egypt, and he wanted to start consolidating control over Egypt and expanding further in Africa. And that included Siwa Oasis, which is in Libya at the time, the Libyan Desert, where the Oracle of Amun was situated.
Yeah.
According to Herodotus, Cambyses sent a massive army of 50,000 men to capture the oasis and subdue the local population, but the army never reached its destination. So the Siwa Oasis, here we go, there's another background thing, is in Egypt now. It's on the border of Egypt and Libya, and it's between a place called the Qattara Depression and the Great Sand Sea, which is part of the Sahara between Western Egypt and Eastern Libya.
Yep. Okay.
We call it the Great Sand Sea. It's 31 miles east of Egypt-Libya border, and 350 miles from from Cairo. Okay, so this is like all these background things for this Oasis of Amun. Or I'm sorry, Siwa Oasis was actually named Oasis of Amun-Ra eventually, but at this time, the Oracle of Amun was there. Okay, and that was a group of people living in this town.
Yep.
Okay. A lot of background on this story because it's, again, ancient history.
Yeah.
Super interesting to read all this stuff. Kind of complicated to put it together in a short podcast because there's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of places that we have to kind of talk about a little bit here and there. Anyway, so the one thing that I want to point out about the Oracle of Amun was in Siwa Oasis, it was they called them Amunians. I have some of the references I've seen when I talked about this, or when researching this, was they called the people there the Amunians.
Okay.
But it was its own group in this town, the Siwa Oasis. Cambyses, again, wanted to consolidate his power over Egypt and Africa. He had to go, it was considered at the time like kind of stupid. Like, don't do this. People were telling him in his court, like, this is stupid. This is too far. It's the Great Sand Sea. It's this really terrible place to go. There's no way we can get through it. Just let him go. Mm-hmm. And of course, being king, he said, don't worry about it. We're going to do it. So he sends his group of 50,000 men to capture the oasis, subdue the people, and
also, you're like, what does he care? He doesn't have to do it,
right? And so he's still
like,
his plan is to keep on going, west, because he has Cairo in that part of Egypt. He's just going to go left,
do the rest of it,
right? So the journey to Siwa Oasis was a formal undertaking. The army would traverse the harsh and unforgiving terrain of the Western Desert, facing extreme temperatures, scarce water supplies, treacherous sand dunes. I mean, imagine walking on the beach with like stuff for my kids is a pain, but I can't imagine being a soldier marching over a desert that's 350 miles or more.
Yeah.
They're marching.
But you figure like, it's not just, you're just doing it by yourself. It's a couple people, like enough of you think enough of these people would be able to make it. Like someone would make it.
That's the big question about this. No one of 50,000
disappeared. Like that's nuts.
Everybody disappeared. That's part of the whole mystery is 50,000 men gone.
Yeah.
Not one survived and no record of them. Despite being multiple expeditions throughout history to find this group or find any reference of them, which then says like, maybe Herodotus was just a liar. But we'll get into the theories because there is a lot of theories and there's still people looking for this stuff. Because I guess it was pretty well recorded that there was the history of like these empires and stuff. Mm-hmm. And something as big as a war like this, like, okay, this guy comes in, invades Cairo, Egypt, takes over Cairo, and then wants to go west. I mean, there's going to be good record of it.
Yeah, I mean,
in some cases.
Yeah, now I think, if I understand correctly, Alexander the Great, because he had to do the same thing. Like he knew about this army disappearing.
Okay, so this is
he did the same thing. I don't know, like I can't remember how many people were with him when he did it. He wanted to go there to beat the Oracle, attain godhood or something like that.
And I think the other thing you mean,
but it must have been something that significant for like to be known like 2 centuries later,
right? But we also have to remember like armies, 50,000 people need a lot of water and food. Mm-hmm. Supply lines, is a big part of war.
Yeah,
throughout all history, and you could take out a supply line, you could take out an entire army very easily. subdue them in a short amount of time. So,
won't there be remains? You think, like something,
right? And another question that comes up is the Amunians, the people from Siwa Oasis, never there's nothing in their history or celebrating or like any type of historical reference to this battle of them like taking, like if they would have found out about this and like went out and like kind of took them out before when they going through across the Ace, like set a trap for them.
You think it would
have been recorded in history. It would have been like a big deal to this place in history. Sure, and I'm sure Herodotus would have mentioned it because it would have been talked about. Yeah. But nothing was ever found from this group. So the route that Cambyses' army took is believed to follow a path westward across the desert, passing through oases, like Karga and Dakhala.
2 centuries later.
The sheer size of the force, comprising infantry, cavalry, and support personnel, would have required meticulous logistical planning, including provisions for food, water, and shelter. So there has like entire groups that were dedicated to like just finding this entire army food, water, shelter, like prepare. Like so, there wasn't like it was just like, hey, go do that real
walk
quick.
In this direction.
They had like meticulous planning. This is a very at the time is one of the most powerful armies in the world.
Yeah,
because they just took out Egypt.
Right,
and they're they have an entire empire. So it wasn't just like this is a one little clan. This is a pretty big empire.
Yeah,
and I'm sure a lot of the people probably in the army had crossed this desert before. They've had planners from Egypt. They probably like tell us how to get across the desert. Sure, there wasn't like this guy was just throwing them across the desert. They had plenty of planning.
That way,
yeah,
way that you get there.
Right. It wasn't like the movie, A Far Off Place.
What?
A Disney movie called Far Off Place where they had to cross the desert.
What movie? Never heard of it.
Yeah, you know who was in that? I think we talked about this in this episode. It's a Disney movie. It's from like the 90s. In this show.
Episode we're doing right now?
I think we went over this. The 1993 film, and the reason why it's significant is because, what the heck is her name? Reese Witherspoon was in it. 1993 Reese Witherspoon, younger. Yeah, she basically like is in Sahara Desert. Family gets killed by someone.
What?
Like, her family gets killed.
Yeah.
When she crossed across the desert.
We talked about that before?
I think so.
Oh, wow.
I'm pretty sure we did.
I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, well, you don't listen to me. Anyway. Again, Cambyses' army disappears 525 BCE. Herodotus, writing in the 5th century BCE, provides the earliest account of the event. According to his narrative, the army reached halfway point of their journey, but was then engulfed by a massive sandstorm. The storm was so severe, it buried the entire army, leaving no survivors and no trace of their passage.
How would he know that?
For those listening, I'm pointing to my nose. Yeah. Exactly, because
what?
How would you know
what movie is that?
If no one survived?
Right.
Exactly. That's the question.
Oh, so there's like recorded as a massive,
sandstorm.
Sandstorm.
Did you see videos of sandstorm? They're terrifying. Like when they blow in.
Yeah.
You're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
That looks horrible. Yeah. Like just
terrifying.
Yeah. To be hit by sand. I mean, I'm sure people live through it all the time.
Yeah.
But like, it seems terrifying.
Yes.
Herodotus' account, while vivid and dramatic, is the only contemporary source that details the event.
What?
Over the centuries, various historians and scholars have debated the veracity of the story. Some suggest the army might have been defeated by hostile forces or that logistical failures led to their demise. Others believe the desert environment itself, characterized by extreme heat, lack of water, sudden sandstorms, could have easily overwhelmed the soldiers. Yeah. Okay, so we're not going into theories yet, but that's like what Herodotus, people who are kind of critiquing Herodotus' work. Mm-hmm. Efforts to locate the lost army have been ongoing since the early 20th century. In the 1930s, a Hungarian explorer whose life inspired the novel The English Patient.
Oh, really?
Never seen it.
Never seen it.
Couldn't care less.
Remember it was like a big thing when it came out.
I think it was it Seinfeld episode about that?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. That's where I hear from. That's the only thing I know about it.
Yeah. When people making out during
Elaine didn't like it.
Yeah, that's right.
There was an episode about them making out during Schindler's List. Yeah. Elaine thought it was dumb, and everybody thought she was crazy.
Yep.
So
I think she fell asleep watching it.
No, she just said it was terrible, and everybody's like, "Let's go see it." And she's like, "No, it's terrible." Anyway, this guy, Hungarian explorer Laszlo Almasi, conducted several expeditions in the Libyan Desert in search of clues, although Amassi found evidence of ancient trails and campfires, he did not uncover definitive proof of the army's fate.
How do you find an ancient campfire? After all this time? Like,
who knows what's ancient? You know, maybe it's like 400 years ancient. What are we talking here? How does he know it's ancient? I don't know.
Yeah.
Doesn't really. I guess I could go back and look through his information.
Watch the movie, maybe.
Hell no. I don't think that's what it's about. Maybe. I don't know. Actually, in recent times, more modern technology and archaeological methods have been employed to solve the mystery, such as satellite imagery, ground penetrating radar, remote sensing have all been utilized to explore potential sites. 2009, two Italian researchers, Angelo and Alfredo Castiglione, claimed to have found remnants of the army, including bronze weapons, Persian horse bits, and human remains near Siwa. However, their findings have been met with skepticism and have not universally accepted by the archaeological community. All right, so let's go into some theories here. You ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think happened?
I don't think, I was just going to say, I don't think they even crossed the desert at all. It didn't even happen. I feel like at some point, somebody would have found something out there. 50,000 people.
Correct.
I feel like something that would have been found.
And if they were defeated, then there would have been record of that.
Sure.
The people from the Siwa Oasis would have been, that would have been like a common
unless
celebration.
They didn't want, maybe people from Siwa Oasis defeated them, but they didn't say anything because they didn't want it to be known that they defeated this Persian army.
Well, because then more Persians would come.
More Persians would come over.
So like
maybe like this, then by doing so, like, oh, this desert's cursed, so let's not bother with it.
Yeah, I pick up what you're putting down. One smart cookie. The old knucklehead over there. Using the old noggin. You ever get a noogie? You ever like your uncle ever give you a noogie? What the hell's wrong with those people?
Wait, deja vu. Did we talk about this before?
Did we? I don't think so.
You sure?
No, we talked about the willies.
No, I thought we were talking about noogies. I've gotten noogies. I've never given one though.
I think we did talk about this now you say that.
I was like, wait a second.
I just think they're so weird. Anyway, let's talk about some theories.
Okay. All right.
Get off the noogies. You old knucklehead over there.
Noogie man, you.
You know, noogie
boy.
Noogie goblin over there. All right. So let's go to the first one.
They didn't want,
which is probably we consider probably the most. It's not aliens, sorry, but it could be.
Going home.
Sandstorm theory. The most widely accepted
and
and the oldest theory is one that Herodotus suggested was the army was engulfed in a massive sandstorm. According to the Herodotus, the sandstorm was so severe it buried the entire army, leaving no trace. So it just basically buried them over their head.
Sure.
Yeah. Seems kind of far-fetched.
Right, but when at some point, like that sand be moved from another sandstorm?
Another storm? Yeah.
Like
I don't know.
would...
It's not like they just piled them all up.
Yeah.
I wonder if this type of thing, this story, like made the Oracle of Amun like even more powerful in some ways. Maybe like that's why Alexander the Great went and visited them. Yeah,
because like if you can get there,
you
defeat. It means you've done something.
Yeah,
something legendary.
This Oracle defeated 50,000 men.
Yeah,
with just one in one day or something. So sandstorms are haboobs.
Never heard of that.
Yeah, that's what they call them. I think.
Okay,
sounds right. Are common in the Sahara.
Try to Google it.
And can be incredibly powerful with winds strong enough to lift and transport vast quantities of sand. There are historical records of armies being affected by such natural phenomenon, but not actual recorded evidence of one being actually completely covered.
Yeah.
You know, like
again, 50,000 people.
Yeah,
like that's a lot.
That's a lot.
Like, disappear from.
In if it's just a sandstorm, one sandstorm. However, there's no direct archaeological evidence found to confirm this theory. Skeptics argue that it's unlikely for such a large force to be entirely obliterated without leaving any physical remains. But if they're completely covered, there would be no physical. It'd be underground.
Yeah. That's covering a lot of stuff, though. That's covering a lot of stuff.
Unless it blew them all together. And,
yeah.
It's like one, I don't know. I wouldn't want to, what would, I mean, they could be under a mountain of sand at this point if it keeps on happening.
Sure, yeah.
But why wouldn't more just blow?
Right.
Anyway.
Maybe they fell a hole and they're in the center of the earth now.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I bet.
With Godzilla.
Yeah.
King Kong.
I bet. Got it on the note.
Is that one of them?
No. Second one is environmental factors. This theory posits that a combination of environmental challenges such as extreme heat, dehydration, lack of navigational tools led to the army's demise. The soldiers may have succumbed to the harsh desert conditions, died.
Again, 50,000
but there would still
people.
be evidence.
Yeah.
So there is the evidence for this theory is that the Western Desert is one of the most inhospitable environments on the Earth, with temperatures that can exceed 122 degrees Fahrenheit or 50 degrees Celsius for those not in our country. During the day, 122 is that's too hot.
Yeah,
it's been 90 somewhere around here, and that's
terrible.
You feel like you're just gonna die.
Yeah, that's me just walking from my door to my car.
And we also live in an area with like really humid heat.
Sure.
You know, we don't live in like when you go to like, let's say like Arizona or what?
Arizona.
No, what state is Las Vegas? Nevada.
Right.
And like I was there once years ago, and it was like 101, but I was like, there's no way it's 101. It's like a weird flavor of heat, you'll say. We're a flavor of heat. Use that at home. Yeah, you guys can have that one. The Western Desert, again, 120 degrees can exceed 122 degrees Fahrenheit. There's not a lot of water sources. Difficulty to navigate in the vast desert. Everything looks exactly the same. Could have led to the army getting lost, perishing, and thirst and exposure. So, like over time, they're kind of like maybe going in a circle. They're getting lost.
Yeah.
But you would still find some of them, right? Because it's not all going to like all of a sudden fall over at the same time.
There must be some kind of evidence.
Yeah. Like the sandstorm theory, this explains the lack of direct archaeological evidence. It does not fully account for the complete disappearance of the group, though. So the question here with skeptics on this one is, again, where are some of the people?
Yeah.
Nothing is washed up. How about number 3? You ready?
Yeah. Do it.
They're defeated by hostile forces. As we've brought up, this theory suggests the army was defeated by local tribes or other hostile forces. The desert is home to various nomadic tribes that could have ambushed the Persian army.
They know the lay of the land.
But like...
It'd have to be a lot of them to do that, though.
50,000?
Yeah, it'd be a lot of them.
Unless they like came upon them and they were like... They just like stayed just out of view for a little while until they got real thirsty and then attacked them when they were at the weakest point. Kind of smart to do, I guess. The region is inhabited by various tribes who might have reasons to resist Persian incursions.
I mean, sure, yeah.
If they're going to invade Siwa Oasis, then they're probably going to eventually come for you.
Yeah.
Historical accounts mention conflicts between Cambyses' forces and local populations throughout his reign in Egypt, or in the time he was messing around in Egypt in this area. However, again, there was no large-scale battle records, but doesn't mean it couldn't have been a small-scale battle. Multiple small-scale skirmishes, like a couple got wiped out here, a couple get 1,000 here, 1,000 there.
Sure, eventually got picked off. Because how many miles you said this was? Like
350. Siwa Oasis is 350 miles from Cairo.
Okay,
and it's like desert.
Yeah,
that's a lot of mileage.
They all eventually just begin picked off.
Right, like a couple. But again, why wasn't some of them found then? Because eventually, it's like one guy's like, oh God. Number 4.
Sandworms.
With that
like Dune.
Yeah.
There you go. Swallowed them whole.
That pretty boy riding sandworms. What's his name?
Boy.
Timothy Chalamet.
Yeah. Chalamet. Chalamet.
I think it's Chalamet. Old Timmy.
Timmy blue eyes.
Yeah. Blue as the sky. Anyway. Some historians suggested that the story of the Lost Army may have been exaggerated or mythologized over time. Herodotus' account, written decades after the supposed event, may have combined with fact and fiction. Some ancient historians' accounts often contain elements of myth and exaggeration, especially from this time in history, especially over long periods of history. The lack of corroborating evidence from other contemporary sources suggests the possibility of embellishment. But while it's plausible that the story is exaggerated, it does not fully account for the origin of the tale and why it would have persisted, why there was no basis for it. There is no basis for this, but why would it even be a story then? Especially a story of 50,000.
Yeah.
What would be the point saying that if that story got out for the king at the time, unless it was Siwa Oasis, like the Amuns that made it up, but like, why would they do that? Because it only looks bad for that empire at the time. I mean, Cambyses II.
Could be the point then, right?
But Herodotus, I'd imagine, wouldn't have written it. I guess if he's trying to write it in favor of them, to say that like, oh, they didn't beat them, they just got lost in the desert.
Yeah,
I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
Another possible theory is another natural disaster not sandstorm related. So this could have been an earthquake or flash flood, could have contributed to the army's disappearance. Sudden natural events could have caused massive casualties and led to the swift burial of remains. I don't know about that one, but
what are the casualties?
It does not fully. They got flash flood that washes them all away. Where are they going? Yeah. The region is seismically active. Flash floods can occur in desert environments. Such events can be sudden and catastrophic, leading to significant loss of life. So I don't know about this one. It's a little funky. If you ask me about the funkiness of this one, there is no archaeological support of any type of thing like this, like especially an earthquake type of thing, right, where they would have fallen into a hole. Like that's the only way that right, 50,000 men would have disappeared that quickly,
right, yeah,
with no evidence.
Yes, yeah.
And then another earthquake comes over a couple years later and just closes it up. I don't know. Anyway, let's go to, this is going to be my last one. And this is not so much a theory, but just information. In 2009, Italian researchers, again, Castigliano, Angelo, and Alfredo, claimed to have found remnants of the army near the Siwa Oasis. Mm-hmm. They discovered bones, weapons, and fragments of clothing, which they attributed to the Cambyses army, as I mentioned in the story before.
Yeah.
The findings include bronze weapons, the Persian horse bit, human remains that were radiocarbon dated to the correct period.
Are they carbon dating them?
Correct.
All right.
The location of the findings aligns with the possible route of the army that would have taken. However, so that's like a little addendum, is that what they call it? I don't know. For that story I mentioned earlier, yeah, 2009.
But this has been hotly contested, though. Right?
The Castiglianos, I think that's how you say it. I'm sorry, Italians. Sorry. These guys' findings have been met with skepticism by some scholars who question the methodology and conclusiveness of the evidence. Further verification and peer review research are required to confirm the authenticity of the significance of the discoveries, but has not been done.
Why hasn't it been done then?
That's a good question. Something I really didn't go into more, but I should have.
I'm just saying, why, if you're going to contest it, like, get it done.
Right. Especially if you're going to be like, no, really, it is. That's what it is. We found it.
Yeah. Liars.
So in this one,
Jules Burns.
Oh, don't get me started on that guy. Coming for you, Jules. Burn.
Jules.
Yeah. So going back to these guys, here's a kind of write-up of what they did. So I guess what happened was these guys were going from Luxor and going to Siwa. So Luxor is a lot further south than Cairo, but
the army was doing this, or there's two?
The army was leaving from Luxor.
Okay.
Supposedly. Siwa is like north. It's like almost directly across from Cairo, east to west. And Luxor is down in the south of the country. So supposedly, get to Siwa, you would go west from Luxor to the Kagar Oasis. And then you would start heading up north through a couple other towns. But basically, you would kind of go northwest to get to Siwa, which to me would be like, that just adds so much more travel room. Yeah. Unless that's like the route that everybody took, right? Maybe for whatever reason, geographically.
Go through those towns like, I don't know, minus supplies or something like that.
So in 1996, the duo found something outside of Siwa where they spotted a huge rock, which they say is a perfect refuge or a sandstorm. So it's this giant rock right outside like just south of Siwa.
A big rock though, right? For 50,000.
It's 35 meters long, 1.8 meters high, and 3 meters deep. So I mean, there's a lot of rocks. There's big rocks out there. And the rocks Egyptians made lots of stuff out of big rocks, right? So in this area that I just mentioned, that's just kind of south of Siwa, in 1996, they excavated a bronze dagger and arrowheads. They really are small items, but they're supposedly, what these guys say, that it's from this empire. So a quarter mile south of that, the team found an earring, necklace links, and a silver bracelet dating to Cambyses' dynasty, that time. So I guess they also, throughout the time, were following these like markers for water sources.
Good.
And that that's the kind of route they started figuring out. And actually what the route that they actually put forth is that they went, instead of going southwest, as I said, they went like way further. They actually went like south. Actually, instead of going northwest, they went southwest down and then straight north was like their route.
Okay.
And that's where they started finding these, like, the way that they thought, or the way that they come together with this theory was they search for water sources along the way, and they kind of put together that's their actual, and that's how they found these parts, these different things. In 2002,
they could have belonged to anybody though, not who would have been out there during that time, right? Not necessarily
bronze dagger. That's what I'm saying. Like, just because they found a couple things from Achaemenid Empire, I think I said that right.
Yeah.
So in 2002, they explored a Bedouin tales of hundreds of bones rising from the desert in certain wind conditions. It would have turned out to be much more than a tale. A mass grave contained the bones alongside Persian arrowheads, horse bit. Sadly, they had not been the first there. We learned that the remains had been exposed to tomb robbers, and that a beautiful sword, which had been found among the bones, was sold to an American tourist. So I guess they did hand all their findings to Egyptian authorities, and then they never heard anything from them. So they did find something. Apparently, was a mass grave. Everything was stolen from it, though. Like, there was nothing left over. So maybe, like, goes into this theory. Right. So this theory is that these guys did all the work, late 90s, early 2000s, and then nothing came of it.
Yeah.
Because
things were stolen.
There wasn't like no proof that this actually was this army. It could have been just it could have been, what was said was, some people refute this, was like, it's just a mass grave from another thing.
Yeah. Oh, right.
There's no proof that there's nothing. There's a few little things they found supposedly that says that this was actually this army, especially all this time later. Like, that's like so long.
Yeah.
Over 2,000 years.
Yeah.
2,500 years. And these guys find it in 2002.
A long time to be picked over.
Right. Especially in the desert.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think happened to the lost army in Cambyses II?
So I'm either going to say like it never even happened. Like, it's something that's got kind of was written down by Herodotus, maybe to like kind of like a propaganda kind of thing, like saying that Cambyses was weak or something like that, and you're like not a great ruler. He's like, hey, go send 50,000 guys. I guess as a joke, like send 50,000 guys. Like, of course, like everyone's like, of course they're gonna go die. Like, why would he do that? It's a bonehead thing to tell an army to do. But maybe there wasn't actually an army that went through there. Maybe not necessarily 50,000. That could have been a number that got exaggerated through time. Like, it might have been like much 5, smaller. 000. Yeah, it could have been much smaller. And they could have died out there. Like you said, this mass grave that was found. Not so it doesn't necessarily mean it was them, but if it was them, like 2,500 years later, like things are going to get found, get picked over.
Especially
scavenged
stuff.
By thieves, and even like animals that might be living out in this desert, like eat bodies and like sands. Eventually going to like the wear and tear from the sand and the wind would eventually just like, I don't know, destroy a lot of that stuff. Maybe I would imagine. So I don't know.
Especially because the rains would come through there. washing things around, wind storms, covering it up, uncovering it, covering it up. And like they said in this kind of write-up about their research was that they did follow this other path. Everybody was following the actual path, the traditional historical path. But it's like, well, they were probably following this other path of like water that could have been there.
Which they would need to with that many people, because they need a lot of water, right?
Especially back in this time, maybe this wasn't the path that they know now. They think is it. The historical path is actually not that and was this other path. That's a lot of time for stuff to move around.
Yeah.
But finding supposedly finding that mass grave, and again, no one did anything.
What do you think?
I think...
But then necessarily mean it was them.
This was...
Because you're saying that Cambyses, aside from getting Egypt, like he didn't really do that much as far as being a ruler. Like
he was only a ruler for 8 years.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if that's a long time. I guess his father was a ruler for 2 decades. So, I mean, I don't know if that's a long time. If like, for a ruler at this time.
But yeah, 8 years.
Okay, so the thing what I think is happening, there's a lot of stories from this time about wars and stuff. And something this big, 50,000 men, like you said, is a lot of people.
Yeah.
Herodotus may have not liked Cambyses II for whatever reason. Or maybe this empire, this clan that he had, that they're from, maybe this was a reason why he embellished this and said, this guy's so stupid, he sent up.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Because that's happened before. I think like who was it? Some Roman emperor apparently made his horse a senator.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I think it was Nero. But like I think that was done. The person who said that like didn't like Nero, just want to make him seem like an idiot or like egomaniacal person. Also, as far as like his marrying his sister and stuff, like or doing something with his sister, like just Nero was dead. Or was it Caligula? I think it was Caligula. Like the victor gets to write the history. You know what I'm saying? Like there's like a bias there. Like ill will towards that person.
We've talked about this before is like the way that people put stuff in record. Like a newspaper article may be written a certain way about some leader or something.
Yeah.
That's like says things. And then this is how they wrote newspaper articles back then, was in this like Herodotus doing his research or putting down this research. And like, we don't know it as, what's that called? Like, you say things, but you're meaning something else, like kind of a.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Literary. Yeah. I know what you're saying though. Like,
so the way that they joked around or like made fun of each other, we just don't understand.
Right.
And so this was a way of making fun of this ruler because he was a bad ruler, bad king.
Yeah.
And it was documented that historically people say he wasn't a great leader.
Yeah.
Because it always seems like the greats, their kids aren't really that great. Like they're kind of spoiled or whatever.
Yeah.
It's kind of Game of Thrones-ish.
Yeah.
In that sense. But
guy was a knucklehead.
His dad was giving him nogies and he didn't know what to do.
Like this dumb down sending 50,000 guys to the desert.
Yeah. It's probably one. I mean, I would imagine it's probably that. It probably was exaggerated story, maybe even like a folk tale. Don't pull us Cambyses II. What are you a knucklehead? Send us 50,000 people. What are you doing? Yeah. Like one of those, like pulling a.
Don't pull one of those.
Yeah.
Munson.
So here's an update on the Castiglione brothers, Alfred and whatever the guy.
They're in jail.
No, I guess it was reported that 2009 was whenever they announced the discovery of this stuff. I guess they may have found it 2002. I don't remember where the 2002 number comes from, but anyway, they discovered their findings through a documentary film as opposed to a scientific journal.
So wait, they rather than submitting them to,
so they like their research and stuff.
Yeah.
They submitted their findings to a film.
Okay.
As opposed to submitting it to like a scientific journal.
That's kind of shady.
Yeah. I guess they've done some pretty bad things. Yeah. Like as far as like the way there's a lot of back and forth between these guys, and they weren't actually allowed. Like I guess like the Egyptian the Hawass, that guy, the really awesome guy from Egypt.
Yeah.
He's not. They're actually like not allowed to search for things. Like he's like they're not.
Yeah, I feel like it's a bad
They have
sign.
never been granted permission to excavate in Egypt.
Don't pull.
And they should not be believed. So here's another guy, university guy from Leiden, in 2015 argued that the lost army was not destroyed by sandstorm, but rather ambushed and defeated by a rebel Egyptian pharaoh, Ptahpottus III. Ptahpottus, I'm saying this word so wrong, was later defeated by Darius the Great. This guy, like the successor to Cambyses II, that guy went and defeated that other guy.
Wait, so what was that guy's name again? Not Darius, what was the other one?
Ptahpottus. Petubastis III. He was defeated by Darius the Great, who poorly invented the sandstorm story in order to remove Ptahpottus and his rebellion from Egyptian memory.
Oh.
So I guess this was
interesting.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. Yeah. So here's another thing pops up that 2015, this guy, Olaf E. Kaper, that was his kind of theory.
Okay. I mean, that would make sense too.
I guess Ptahpottus III was kind to rebel against the Achaemenid Empire, like ruling over their country. And that they defeated that army.
Okay.
Yeah. Whenever they were traveling. So actually the army did exist. They defeated them and wiped, like just basically got rid of all their remains or whatever. Whatever armies do after they kill a bunch of people in that time. Okay.
Huh.
So that's the story of the lost army of Cambyses II. A lot of back and forth in the beginning, but it's confusing, I think, to kind of look at this.
Wait, so what was that guy's
there's a lot of
name?
like
Not
different
Darius,
parts. But
what history?
History.
Shady guys.
And the mystery. Yes. Talking about two shady guys.
brothers.
We're happy to have everybody here today. Jordan.
Chris.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you want to tell the people at home where they can find us?
No.
MysteriousPals.com. Go there.
Yep.
You can find us in all social media platforms for the most part. You want to find out what those are, there's in the show notes, there's links, or on the website, there's links, MysteriousPals.com. Send us an email, MysteriousPalsShow@gmail.com.
Yep.
And if you have questions, you want to give any ideas for new content, and suggestions, critiques. We'd love critiques.
We get those.
Yeah, that's great. We'd love them. Maybe we'll read some on the air sometime. Anyway, thank you everybody out there. We will see you next time. Same mysterious time, same mysterious place, same mysterious pals. Good night, and we love you.
Goodbye.
It's a second. A lot of back and forth in the beginning, but it's confusing, I think, to kind of look at this, because there's a lot of like different parts. But
what history?
History.
Shady guys.
And the mystery. Yes. Talking about two shady guys.
brothers.
We're happy to have everybody here today. Jordan.
Chris.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you want to tell the people at home where they can find us?
No.
MysteriousPals.com. Go there.
Yep.
You can find us in all social media platforms for the most part. You want to find out what those are, there's in the show notes, there's links, or on the website, there's links, MysteriousPals.com. Send us an email, MysteriousPalsShow@gmail.com.
Yep.
And if you have questions, you want to give any ideas for new content, and suggestions, critiques. We'd love critiques.
We get those.
Yeah, that's great. We'd love them. Maybe we'll read some on the air sometime. Anyway, thank you everybody out there. We will see you next time. Same mysterious time, same mysterious place, same mysterious pals. Good night, and we love you.
Goodbye.